I have quite a few criticisms about the way the RFP process was held this time around. First things first, about the food advisory committee that they have to look at to evaluate the bids that are submitted. It is ideally supposed to have representation from many bodies at the university. We had a representative for undergraduate students as well as graduate students. I feel that it's very questionable how much they were actually heard on the committee. I feel like a lot of decisions were already made and that they might have not had a great impact being a student representative on that committee. Secondly, I think that the administration had promised us a lot of things would be included in this contract that were in line with demands that students had made over the years anticipating this new RFP. Things like having more locally procured food, having more organic food, and they just didn't meet our demands the way we would have liked. There are certain clauses in the contract that say, according to the season, we'll have this much percentage of food being served procured locally, but then you have to ask yourself, what is their definition of local, and questions like that. So it remains very vague, and I don't think that those demands are going to be fulfilled, quite frankly. Lastly, I think that the whole process in itself, the contract, the way that we're meant to bid on this contract is basically designed for a corporation. We had a lot of different experiences that just kept pushing us aside. For one, they had put this on a public tender website that's owned by the government, which is the process that you're supposed to take. They had given us, or all potential bidders, 20 days, not 20 business days, but 20 days to bid from the day that the RFP was made public to the deadline. There was also a mandatory meeting that all potential bidders had to attend that was less than a week after it had been published online. And our organization that we were working with was not made aware, and we had to kind of scramble to register them to go to the meeting. And once we were at that meeting, we happened to be introduced to the other corporations that would be bidding. So and we were the only non-corporate body. So there was us, and then there was Sodexo, Aramark, and Chartwells. And so we knew right away what we were up against. So right away you could see that there were only corporations bidding besides us. And furthermore, we found out that after the organization we were working with had already backed out, we had been notified that the deadline had been extended. So rather than being 20 days, they had to extend the deadline, to something like 1 or 2 weeks later than the original date published, which is funny because we can assume that even these large corporations weren't ready with a complete bid to submit to the administration.